Yo, I'm Darius, aka The Mirror.
I'm TK, aka the Destroyer of Conviction.
I like that energy.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah. Today we're gonna do a response to Matt Walsh and his feelings about reparations and whether or not we deserve them or not.
Yeah.
So
or whether it's a good idea.
Or a good idea of it. So we're gonna jump right into it. Ready?
Yeah.
Maybe we agree.
Maybe. I doubt it though. Now we
of course.
That's
only one argument against the reparations idea. There are many more and better ones. I've outlined most of them on the show at various points in the past. But today I'd like to talk about and call attention to a different argument against reparations, one that is, by our culture's standards, rather unspeakable, which doesn't mean that it's wrong. In fact, it normally means precisely the opposite. A guy named Wilford Riley, who's a college professor with a decent social media following, who also happens to be a black man, made this point on Twitter yesterday. Here's what he tweeted.
That's important.
An awkward historical fact, which genuinely complicates the reparations debate, is that black Americans are just obviously better off on average than we would have been had our ancestors never come to the United States. Pointing out something this self-evidently true isn't justifying slavery, which was obviously terrible for slaves and existed globally in 1850. But no one arguing for that $5 million today in LA is or has ever been a slave. Pro-POC affirmative action has been the law since 1967.
You oppose it?
Now, he's not the first person to make.
All right, so I don't like that because that's a fallacy. There's a fallacy called appeal to authority, which you basically just get a person that you feel like is an expert in that field, and you just use him, even though it's maybe one person. Because there's plenty of Harvard professors that I can pull and say that they disagree with that and say that people should get reparations. But it's cool if that's what you want to use. But
So
also,
you just think it's ridiculous that he just pulled that man out as an example.
I mean, it's cool.
A black man, as
yeah,
he, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's to be expected,
Yeah.
man. It's Matt Walsh, but also to that point, he's talking about the thing that's in the reparations going on in LA. If you don't know, California is put together a task force to see the effects of not just slavery, but systematic racism, the things from slavery on up, including Jim Crow, Reconstruction, and things of that nature. So it's not just the ideal of slavery, it's also the ideal of what black people went through, whether it be redlining, bank redlining, neighborhood disinvestment, anything that was against black people, where my grandmother is 90. So if you're talking about people that's not alive or would be better off or whatever the case, my grandmother's 90, so that was like 1930.
Yeah.
I think what Jim Crow was over in what? Well, the Civil Rights Act was what, 1960?
That was one in 64 and then
64.
one was 68.
Okay.
So
my
basically,
mother was alive, so that's 1958.
So basically, it's, what is it? Slavery was from what, 16 something all the way to like 1865, and then you had Reconstruction, then you had Jim Crow all the way up to like 68.
And that's one of the things that they're looking into to see the effects, to see what should be paid out.
And like, that's like, I know that what a lot of people like to do that try to argue against reparations make it seem like all this happened so long ago. A lot of people them arguing against it were alive when this was going on.
My grandmother's alive.
Like him.
My grandmother's alive. My mother's alive. So
both of them. Like my mom was born before before desegregation.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm a direct descendant of that.
Yeah.
So
direct.
like if she's affected, I'm affected.
Clearly.
Like, I don't.
I mean, it's cool though. I
don't get the timeline they trying to print, man.
Yeah. So I mean, to the person that he got with that anecdotal appeal to authority person, which is fine. If that's your evidence, then that's your evidence. But even with that, you're only taking one side of what they're trying to do and trying to implement in California. So they should.
Is it LA? Because I was reading it was San Francisco.
I think it's California as a whole, but that's where they have the stuff at, the meetings and task force stuff. I think it's like 9 people on there.
9 people
on the council or something.
Let's see what else. Look at his posture. Like, cause I don't like his body because you think he got something. Like,
I mean, most people like in this position do. They have to move like that. When you talk with confidence, you get people to follow behind you, even if you ain't talking about shit.
At this point, I remember hearing Dinesh D'Souza articulating the same.
Dinesh D'Souza,
years ago. And the only thing that makes the point controversial is the insistence by disingenuous idiots to misconstrue it. They will say, as was referenced, that you're justifying slavery or defending it, perhaps even advocating for more of it. But that is obviously not the point. The point is that the push for reparations rests on the notion that Black Americans are in a considerably worse spot today than they would have been had their ancestors never been brought here.
So I would like for you to put up the
Hold on.
definition of reparations.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong again. Wrong again.
My boy.
No, the argument for reparations does not rest on whether or not we would have been better off over there. Reparations is to repair damage that was done to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because
a wrong was done.
A wrong was done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how they try to, over the course of the century, they tried to right the wrong they did to Native Americans,
Mm-hmm.
paid them reparations, gave them land
Mm-hmm.
for the wrong that they did to them. That's what
Mhm.
Black people are seeking. They're not saying, "Oh, this ain't we ain't in this ain't a Marvel movie. We ain't doing Kane the Conqueror. We basing this off of what happened.
What has happened.
You did this, so you need to repair this.
Mm-hmm.
That is it's as simple as
Yeah.
that. And either you acknowledging that you did this, or America did this, or you saying, "Yeah, we did it. Get over it."
Yeah.
That's what your
That's
two
the
options
better
are.
argument. Just say, hey, man, it happened. Get over it.
We can't afford it. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, we don't have the money or something, bro. But when you try to make like arguments like this, bro, because even this, like, bro, this was a simple, this was a case of simply looking up the definition, and you still got that wrong. How did you do that,
How
bro?
you miss that?
You missed that, bro.
How you miss that?
That's what we talking about. Like, it's not. These people were just like ridiculous, and people who follow in behind them are just as ridiculous. Because how do you just take his word for it and just not look up what does reparations mean? Why do people get reparations? How many people has got reparations? Who has got it? Did you look up why Jewish people got it?
Everybody but us.
Yeah.
Basically.
You know what I'm saying? Other than the Tuskegee experiments, but again, that was the wrong done.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese, they got something. Like, all you got to do is look at the time
that's what they try to do, though. They be like, it's going to be impossible to, figure out who should get reparations, who shouldn't. No, it won't.
No, it won't.
Like I said before, I'm a Black man from South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to chase my roots. Like I said, my mother was born here. My grandmother was born here. My great-grandmother was born here, who I knew very well. Her mother was born here. We can trace it. It's not hard to figure out the impacts. Because even if you don't want to do slavery, like we said, you can just go back to the civil rights movement if you want. We can just track it back
From
as
Jim
far as
Crow
that.
up.
We can do that. Make it simple for everybody. Everybody got birth records. It ain't hard.
It ain't hard.
You just have to have the will to do it.
Yeah.
That's all it requires.
It's the idea
is the will to do it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people like this, these people are funny to me because, like, I don't understand. I don't care what the reason is, really. And I understand that they take him serious. And my thing is like, those people who do take him serious are funny too, because it's like, this is clearly ignorance. This is like a clearly ignorance, and you just saying you don't want, you think something is a bad idea, or you just need content.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is, but for you to be in this position on a daily wire, you need a win. Like, on a daily wire, and you sitting here talking about what reparations are, and you get that wrong. You've been better off in it. And that's not what that's for. And who's to say that we wouldn't?
Yeah.
Even with that case.
Yeah, first of all, it's subjective of what success is. Like, we see people in Africa, they don't have like a bunch of technology, but they happy, they survive, they do whatever they want to do. And then the thing is, hold on, I don't know what he's gonna say next. Let's see what he says.
As slaves, they say that we must repair this damage that Black Americans are currently experiencing, they say, to the tune of $5 million or $7.5 million or maybe $75 million.
Which may be letting them off cheap.
Just to be honest.
Because how do you calculate the wrong that was done to Black people in America? Like, how do you put a number on living and dying as a slave, having no freedom, brutalized, raped for centuries? How do you put a cap on that? And then once we were technically freed, they worked the system to where we still, are slaves, basically having like vagrants laws, or like you got to have a job, or you go to jail and you got to work for free, to, them having picnics around our body. Like, how do you put a value on it? What is that worth?
Just say you ain't got the money.
Just say you ain't got it.
For me, that's the best thing you should do, bro.
If Americans want to say, hey, look, Yeah, we messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when y'all made it, we bombed y'all cities and built highways through them. Yeah, we did it. But guess what? We can't afford to pay you back. Our bad. You know what I'm saying?
That's what
Or
I
at
was
least
just
right
rather
now.
say.
Just be honest. We don't want to pay you back because we can't afford it.
Because for me, like I told you, I seen this. And I was just like, okay, this is funny to me. This is just a person who's an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is a person who has the platform, who want to speak, just like anything else. Just like, what's my man name who got sued for like $1 billion?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. It's just another one of them, bro. Like you just a person that's talking and people follow you, but it's funny. For me, it's just comedy. Because it's comedy because he's serious.
I don't like it, man, because I don't see him as a genuine person. I don't like these people. Because, I mean, they grifters, man. I think they know better, but they just take advantage of people who believe in stuff like this. And I don't like that. Because then people that get convinced by stuff like this don't seem like they have enough to, do better for themselves mentally.
I disagree because I think he is genuine because of some of the other interviews I've seen him do. He really thinks that I don't know if you ever seen the clip. I don't know if we can put this in or not, but when he was on Joe Rogan and he was talking about how all the people that had like transgender surgery or something.
Are you talking about hormone blockers?
Yeah.
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers, really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on it, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers and had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
It says it's kind of undercounted, but that
would be a big undercounting.
Less than 1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands at this, but I could be wrong.
Million sounds great.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Say, man, got to be in the millions, hundreds of thousands. They looked it up. It was like 4,000.
I don't believe.
So I was just
I don't believe this is a real person.
That was an example of you not knowing what you're talking about. You just saying stuff out loud, and then when you get hit with the facts, you just are like, well, that's
when somebody's actually at a challenge.
Wrong.
Wrong again.
So it's just, I get it, man. He's just one of the people, bro.
I don't trust him, man.
Black Americans today are the furthest removed from that historic atrocity and yet should be paid the most in restitution for it.
Yeah.
That's the claim.
That's how time works.
This is a false notion. In fact, it seems rather clear that Black Americans are doing better here.
That's how time works.
I'm taking it one day at a time. Yeah, we all are. We got no choice.
I mean, if you would have paid us when it happened, you wouldn't be having this discussion.
And then those people would have been the furthest removed from that. And then the people before, the generation before that would have been.
That's typically how
Come
that
on,
happens,
man. What you talking about? Because we exist. That's what. Like, what are you talking about, big dog?
Even so what? Like, there's people still accepting reparations or benefits or whatever for other people that were done wrong, like Jewish people. They descendants.
Germany's
they
still
money.
paying that money.
Some people, like people that was collecting pensions for like Civil War vets, would still collect. They ancestors collecting they pensions or whatever.
I'm like Indians. They like people. They was getting. Their descendants was getting money. So it was like, I don't understand.
Who cares, bro? We the descendants.
It's a lot of us. Just say it's a lot, and we ain't got the money.
We don't got the money.
We ain't got the capital for that. Look,
you ain't got the money.
We just got over a pandemic. We struggling. Everybody trying to get rid of the dollar.
All they doing is trying to kick the ball down the field. The further they can kick it down, the more they can be like, well, we don't know who getting the money. Yeah. So we get to the point we all blended, and even then, we all got birth certificates. That's the thing, though. Our birth certificates are in the system. They can probably put that all up on record real quick. Who deserves this money?
You got all these ancestry.com. There you go. If we believe that this is real, but there you go. We can just use those. Where's my bloodline track from?
Discuss it. Go back a little bit. Talking over.
But this is a false notion. In fact, it seems rather clear that Black Americans are doing better here today than they would be had their ancestors generations ago never been brought to these shores. We can prove this point by simply asking which African country anyone asking for reparations would prefer to live in.
Pause that.
The answer, of course, is none of them. Now,
I love that. That's the part. That's the part.
No African country is doing well.
First of all, that's not what these reparations are for. It's not to send me back home. These are not a ticket. This is for the work that we done here. Yeah. My ancestors done here to make this country what it is today.
Correct.
The number one
and what we continue to do.
yeah, that's a fact.
We still working.
Yeah. So if that's not again, I don't know what definition of reparations he done looked up, but clearly he didn't look up the right one. Reparations is not. We didn't give people that was in them Japanese camps. We didn't say, hey man, here go your money, you go on back home or where you from. I know it was American people. Some people was American people. Same thing with Indians or Jewish people. Like, it doesn't matter. It's for a wrong that was done. But let's say that your definition is the definition that you want to go with. There's plenty of times, plenty of places. Cape Town. That's a great place. I want to Egypt. That's another good place I would like to.
They don't like us. They don't like us giving us credit for Egypt.
Yeah. I say
like
then you did the aliens.
You got Egypt. You got South Africa. You got Kenya. You got Algeria.
Johannesburg. Johannesburg, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you talking about?
You got plenty of places. I personally, if I could choose, I'd go to Morocco. That's the one I.
And you got to think these places got good GDP. Like their ability to move product is still
some
is good.
of them are moving away from our dollar. So,
yeah. So if they not doing that well, why would they move away from our dollar, the standard?
You know what I mean? But when he says that though, I think you also have to think.
First of all, my bad. I don't mean to cut you off one time. I'm a black man. I would like to move to Cape Town. Yeah. There we go. So there you go. Ask any black person that would like reparations.
I actually got a homeboy that moved there like
ain't been back.
He went there like last summer or whatever, and like he's the last person I expect to go. Like, I don't even know how he got over there, to tell you the truth. And all I hear from him is like he'll just post random pictures of him in African garb and him just having the time
enjoying himself.
He's like, I'm not coming back. He got married over there. He like, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it looked like, and more and more African American people are migrating to Africa.
Yeah, like because what was it? I think Ludacris, he got his dual citizenship over there. I forgot which African country he got his, but a lot of rappers and a lot of other people going over there getting houses and places to stay over there. So I don't know. I don't know what the black people he know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe
I don't know.
He's on a Daily Wire, so maybe it's Candace Owens or somebody.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe.
But like clearly again, wrong again.
and another point is you also with that like, oh, we don't like they can't name one African country they go to. That's also a reason for that. One, when we got over here, we stripped for our heritage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? First and second generation people from Africa that's over here now, I guarantee you they can give you a country off the top of their head of where they want to go to because they was actually able to experience and maintain their connection. And then second of all, like a lot of the influences we see on the media, we see what of Africa.
Yeah. But that's what he's watching most likely.
That's what he's talking. That's what's being promoted. You know what I'm saying?
But we done actually looked up and seen what Africa looked like when you go to a good place. When you want to travel, like, okay, these nice places. What was they showing me?
They got their own jerseys, shore style shows over there too.
Why are we trying to? Because we American, and we don't look outside ourselves.
Pretty much, we think we the apex of civilization.
Yeah, that's why everybody moving away from our dollar. Including them African countries, some of these African countries. So I don't I don't know the notion. And even so, he keep talking about this timeline of foolishness. Like, what African country would they rather go to? Would they be better off now than they better off now than what they? Who's to say?
We don't know.
Who's to say?
We don't know. But I mean, based on what we see over there, depending on where we are, because we don't know, because like we said, we was captured or whatever. We might have been in a better situation over there.
If you take the millions of the millions of people that was brought over here, and you leave them there, who's to say that some of those people wouldn't have made Africa better, or the country they from,
or
better?
We as a whole wouldn't have been in a better place or made Africa without outside interruption from Europe and
you talk about the scramble for Africa?
Yeah.
What was it called? The Berlin Meeting?
Like if we were
actually
left alone, we probably could have really had Wakanda.
Yeah, like the Berlin Conference.
We got the most. Africa is the most dense, like in natural resources on the planet. If we was left alone, that's why. Because if we was left alone, we'd be a real problem.
We have these pyramids that people can't figure out how we did it. That's aliens.
We created mathematics.
I don't understand.
Charting stars way before other
come
people.
On, man.
We was traveling across the Atlantic way before other people.
We was walking with our feet up with no shoes on, understanding that the earth is part of us. Now during that time, they call African people crazy. Or they poor. They got to walk around with no shoes on.
They out there running around
with no shoes. Oh, man, I got to have my shoes off so I can feel the grass, the energy. It's like my molecules are part of the earth. African people was ahead of that.
Whatever, man.
You might offer the rebuttal that if slavery never existed, if we're reimagining history without that institution at all, then Africa itself would be in a better shape, better place, and better shape, and maybe indeed Black Americans would be better off there. But this seems highly unlikely, and it also ignores the fact that Africans participated in slavery and the slave trade as much as they were victims of it. Not to mention, if we're reimagining the world without African slavery, then we have to also imagine it without all other forms of global slavery, since African slavery was merely one variety, one offshoot of this global institution.
Hold on. A few things.
But why though?
One, he's like, it's highly unlikely. First of all, I don't like the attitude. Like, why does he think it's highly unlikely that we would be better off without interference from Europeans? Unless you think your knowledge and what your ideas are superior to what theirs is in Africa.
Oh, you trying to say he's subjectively or subconsciously saying that because white people took us from, or Europeans took us from Africa, it's better off because with
I don't think he's subconscious. I think he just straight up said it. When
I don't think he realized what he's saying.
He's like, oh, it's highly unlikely that we would be better off.
I don't think he realized what he's saying. But again, it's cool. Let's go back to his first point where he say Africans and participated in slavery too. Well, they would have had to pay reparations at that time if I'm there. And then also there was a tribe and stuff like that. Then we paid tribes over here, Indian tribes.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them land, casinos and stuff like that. So that would happen in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been the same thing over there. So why is it confusing? Like, why are you making that a point when we did what we did, the Indian people over here, that we paid them?
For me, it's a few things. It's a few things. Because when we talk about slavery and people saw something, this is a global practice. This is historical. It's happened over generations. And then when they say Africans participated in the slave trade too, you gotta think, one, traditionally in Africa, the slavery was different to where if you did become a slave, it was actually like indentured servitude, where you could eventually become a full member of the tribe and earn your stripes or whatever in a lot of circumstances. Not all, but some of them. And second of all, like also there were Europeans and Americans that gave them an ultimatum: either you help us get other slaves,
or you get that hand,
or you get the heavy hand. You know what I'm saying?
Give me the hand.
So don't act like Africans out here just on the same wavelength as Americans participated.
Yeah, that's the problem too. They think that that's the problem with people, like, because they did it, they must have had to do it the same way we did.
Yeah.
That's not the way people.
Or been just in it for profit ourselves.
It's a different culture.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of having those practices.
Right.
But that's a good point. That's a good point, bro.
Maybe they didn't think you was as much of a savage as you turned out to be.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And then another point is when people bring up, this global shit, this is a historical thing, people do it. First of all, American chattel slavery is something wholly different than, what we, other institutions have
One thing you
done
can
over the
say,
years.
the comparison of what slavery we had over here compared to all other slavery is not the same.
Not the same.
We are
depending on who
masters.
you're looking at. You look at like King Leopold or whatever, and he's pretty. That's he needs to be more widely known. You know what I'm saying? But
That's
also that's like to me that's saying like when you got in trouble as a child and you told your mama, well, such and such was doing it too. And what your mama say? Such and such ain't my child.
Yeah.
Such and such ain't my child.
That was my next point. It was like, well, they need to be asked for their money too.
You know what I'm saying? But in this house, you gonna have to pay for this.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care who else did it.
I don't care.
You did it. America did it. They chose to do that stuff. I don't care who else did it.
Yeah. That ain't my problem.
Yeah. I hate when they say, it's a global institution. It's happening. Who cares? Did you do it or not?
Also, the idea, I like that part, but just not even on the other side. It's like when people argue over like police brutality, they say like, when we talk about the ratio of black people being killed more by police than whites, and then you hear like the argument from like conservative or like the right side, well, they kill more white people or they kill this man. Well, that's the problem.
Still a problem.
It's still a problem.
It's still a problem.
So you don't think that need to be fixed? You don't think that you should be out here with us marching too? Like, what do you think? The problem is the police killing people. So why are you not participating too? Because
you don't care about actually solving the problem. You care about being right and maintaining the status quo. That's all stuff like this is designed to do, is to maintain what's already happening.
Answer the question though. Is he silly?
Is he silly?
Like, is like the way he's approaching this argument? Do you not feel like it's silly though?
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I just
so
think
it's
it's
like
all ridiculous.
that's why it's hard for me to take him serious. And I would think
That's
that,
why I take him serious, because he influencing people who believe it.
yeah, that's a problem. But they funny too. I like those people, man. They don't have nothing else going on for them, so they got to ride the wave. So
You gotta go.
And now we have totally, at that point, rewritten the history of the world in a way so dramatic that it's absolutely impossible to say which individuals today would end up worse or better in this alternate universe. I mean, if you go back in time and get rid of slavery from the entire world,
pause it real quick.
You have just, it's impossible to say what the world looks like right now.
Pause that real quick. So how was your logic earlier when you were saying, like, what about black people staying in different places?
What you mean?
Like, he still made the idea of, like, who's to say you would be better off here now than you are over here.
Yeah.
Earlier he was saying that you are better off here now, but now you're saying who's to say this, who's to say that.
Who's to say what we look
Now you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now earlier you saying it was better for slavery to happen because of these things. Now you saying if it didn't happen, who's to say that things would have been better or worse?
He is.
So yeah, I guess it's just his logic. That's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, if you listen and like if people listen to what a person is saying, you can see the flaws in what the person is saying. You like, bro, what you mean? Earlier you was what's the word? Omnipotent. Earlier you knew.
No, now you don't know.
Now you don't know.
Now you don't know. Now you don't know. I don't know what's happening.
If you ask any ask any black person, nobody would want to live in Africa. Now we don't know what would happen.
Now we don't know. I think he's starting to enter his head like we don't. Hey, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying. But if I had a choice between existing and then like millions of people not having to endure slavery and go through all that, I wouldn't mind not exist. That's me personally.
Still might be here though.
I still might be. I might be in Africa enjoying my life.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm meant to be here, I'm gonna be here. So I'm not really concerned about that.
So,
but he is. But and if it means he don't exist, I gladly take that shot.
So what he's saying is, matter of fact, keep playing.
Actually, what we can say is that we'd all end up worse. All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the entire globe.
Now you know.
Because a change that significant would likely shift the course of events in a way that would mean none of us would even exist.
Why are we even going through this?
Hold up, that part too. You wouldn't exist. Like, no, play. But just saying, how do you know?
Why does it even matter?
What does it matter? Like, let's just say, so like, for the people who went through the Holocaust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people who found love within the Holocaust, and they had a kid. Should the kid be grateful that Hitler existed? Because if without Hitler they wouldn't exist, so because of these atrocities, I'm glad it happened. If my mother was raped and I was born out of that.
I see what you did.
Yeah, you like I did that.
You're aware.
You know what I'm saying? So if my mother was raped or whatever, and I'm the product of that, should I be, should my mother be, thank God that he did this to me, gave me this trauma because I have a son?
Yeah, I got
he shouldn't be, should he be punished? Should there be something, should somebody be
held
accountable for something like that? Or are you saying that because I exist, I should be grateful that happened? Like, what are you, my man? Yeah. What are you saying, bro? Yeah. Like, what are you trying to get at, bro? The logic. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you listen to this and then just be like, yeah, but he got a good point.
I don't really understand why he's bothering going through all this. Like,
it's just the mental gymnastics.
I don't care about existing if it means that, you know, a group of people didn't have to suffer. I don't care.
But even with that, it did happen. You can go through all this. What if this? What if that? You can
still here.
You can shotgun all day. Yeah. The fact is,
guess what?
The fact is that America made trades based off free labor.
Yeah.
And they put them at number one. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
Cotton was like the number one trading thing, and we supplied the world like 60% of cotton. Somewhere around that number. I got to look that number up again, but that's like a number I seen at like the African American museum in Washington. But it's like, bro, we supply like the reason why America is like far as its base and the strength of it is because of free labor that they got. all those people that asked was like, land, what was that, 40 acres of the mule? We was promised that. We didn't get it.
Didn't get it. And the people that did, they got to take it from them because we weren't protected by the law. So
Exactly. So all we saying is like there was a wrong done, and it put us behind the 8 ball,
mhm.
and we would like to.
That's the thing, though. It's like when I use that Monopoly example, like it's not enough just to get to a certain point after you hold somebody back and be like, okay, now we equal.
Yeah.
Like that's not the same while you over here building and you have the chance to,
There are companies
pass down
today.
wealth. Bank of America.
Companies today that was back then that benefit off slavery that is thriving today.
Man, that's no good.
There are houses that people have passed down from generation to generation and made millions, hundreds of thousands off of, especially in neighborhoods that we couldn't even go in.
Yeah.
So like, how do you just? And again, he's talking about slavery because he clearly didn't read the bill or know what the task force really looking for. Hell, he don't even know what reparations
He's talking
stands for.
about slavery because he's trying to distance America from its past, but that was only like 150 years ago.
I think he just seen something and then went.
No, that's what they do. They always use that. Y'all are not slaves. It didn't happen to y'all. Therefore, you don't deserve anything, even though we're the descendants of those people. And as he just clearly admitted, the past affects the future, which is why he's going. Which is why he's going through all this. What if we change anything?
I wouldn't exist.
So clearly he understands that what happened in the past
matters in the future. I didn't even catch that part. I only caught the part earlier. So clearly he has a great understanding of that.
Yeah, he has the understanding.
So if you understand that if slavery didn't happen, then you wouldn't exist. So how do you not understand that because of these atrocities, people are still hurting from that? How do you not understand that?
Even if you got rid of Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and let's say things worked their way out there, you still put people behind because of that.
Period.
If black people came over here like the same as like Irish or anybody else and start building up their wealth, where would we be versus where we started off with? And we start building that at the same time as everybody else did when we first got here. Where would we be versus where we are now?
Hey, boy.
And if you can't say anything other than where we are now, you need to shut up. Like, I mean, like it's that simple. If you keep people in slavery if you hold us back for 300 years, or however long
while you work regular.
Like, where do you think that's gonna leave you?
Just like if you do it in track. If I gave somebody in track and I'll say, look, man, y'all 2 people about to race, man, but you're gonna get a 300-second head start to do a mile. And then when you start, we're gonna put an extra 10 pounds on you. Do your best.
Like, do you think that person is going? Do you think they're gonna thrive, or do you think they're gonna struggle? Like, I don't.
Like,
because it's not only the financial aspects. It's like imagine being a slave and the offspring of a slave, and that's the only life you know for generation. Then you set quote unquote free. Like, how long do you think it takes to adjust mentally in a country that is constantly showing that it hates you? Like, how do you think of a child right now growing up in an abusive home? How do you think that child's gonna turn out? You know what I'm saying? Like how long, when the black people are trying to survive in America in every turn up until 68, even now, because we still have examples of discrimination and suffering from the effects of, if every time we turn around, America shows you how much they care about you, and it ain't a lot. Like, not only financial aspects, like how long do you think it takes to recover from that mentality of America don't really give a shit about us? And then we got to compete with shit like this. Like, people are listening to people like him instead of, like, I understand. It's like so much you have to overcome that's beyond financials. And, you know, we had to overcome terror. Like, we were terrorized here.
Yeah, well, that's a fact, boy.
We were terrorized here, TK.
That's a fact, boy.
Like, my grandma can tell you stories. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's a fact, boy. That's a fact.
Like, it was scary, you know?
That's a fact, boy.
In a place that's supposed to be for everybody.
Hey, bro, always go to your grandmother and let them tell you them stories, bro.
My grandma don't even like being watching those movies. You know, like movies where they show stuff that happened like back in the day. She don't even like watching that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. She was there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's a
saying? Like,
flashback.
you know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
That's crazy you say that because I was with I spent time with my wife's family,
Mhm.
and we was over there, and we was gonna watch a movie after we got done eating or whatever. Like what was it? What was Sunday? Easter or something? It was
Yeah.
Easter. So we was over there eating, and then the uncle was like, "But y'all want to watch a movie?" Like, cool, we'll watch it. What y'all want to watch? We was like, we'll watch Mulan or something. And then she was in there sitting, kind of watching the stuff. And then when they got to the war part, she was like, "I can't watch that." Like it was something there that she's just like, I
Yeah.
can't even.
Mulan?
It was like, look, it was like war scenes,
Yeah.
and she don't like, she can't.
Mm.
Those are not scenes that she can like. It takes her back somewhere. So she was just like, nah, I don't want to watch that. I'm good.
I'm about to go to a show, but I think it's an interesting point. Spoiler alert for a show called Unprisoned on Hulu. I like it. It's a good show.
Mhm.
Anyway, her dad get out of prison, or whatever, and like he 60s.
That's what's her name, ain't it?
Hmm?
What's her name?
Scandal. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I can't think of her name. It's a
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington. Yeah, her dad get out of prison. I like the show because it's like it shows like they dynamic, and she's like a therapist or something. So like she gives that aspect of like what's going on and how you get over stuff. But there's a point where he doesn't have his birth certificate because he's 60 or 70, so he has to go back to like Alabama or something to like retrieve his birth certificate or whatever. And like the house they went to was abandoned. Like his daughter kept asking him, like, why did you leave the house so suddenly, whatever? Like, why did you leave? And then it finally came out when they went to like this church or whatever. And the lady that took him in was like telling him what happened, how like these dudes came, the police officers actually came to the house, like took his mom, beat her, took her back to the station overnight, and then dropped her off. We can only assume what happened, you know. But you know, like there's a lot of stories like that from people around that age, or like some of the atrocities that they've seen, like done by other people that's supposed to see them as like fellow America, a human. You know what I'm saying? Not cattle or just you property.
And then on the even if we're not doing that, like you said, American.
Yeah.
We are American citizens. We are American.
Yeah.
But we don't get always treated or felt like we are. When you look at the justice system, when we get 20% more time for doing the same crime, when our kids are looked at as more as adults than other races, it doesn't feel like we are Americans, or at least not equal Americans. Like that's the problem. I watched this thing the other day where that lady I sent you about her. She was a union police whatever. I don't know, press secretary. I don't know what she was.
She was like the person.
Yeah, she was like the person. Well, not secretary, I'm sorry. But she was like, she was, I don't know what she was. The executive, I don't know what she was.
She was up there.
She was up there. And they framed her as a grandmother. Framed her as a grandmother. Grandmother selling drugs.
Nah, she was
It was a kingpin. Queenpin.
Yeah. Nah, she was the person moving. What was it? Fentanyl?
It was fentanyl and others from like China and a whole bunch of other places. But like, that's what I'm saying. When you look at like when New Orleans was when New Orleans had that hurricane, and you see two news articles of two people doing the same thing, two groups of people doing the same thing. Black people, they say they looting. These white people over here, they say they are surviving. Doing their best to survive.
During the hurricane, the aftermath.
And for me, it's not even on purpose. That's how like that's the it's not just the effects of what happened.
See, that's a scarier thought than there actually being an agenda.
That's what I say when we looking and listening to these people.
This person, I still don't believe this nigga's a grifter.
I feel you, but I don't think that. I think he's just another ridiculous person with a microphone in front of his face who got hyped because he did this, what is a woman thing. He got hyped, and then he's just talking about how he feel. Sooner or later, it's probably gonna get him in trouble, which is fine. I don't care. Same thing with Alex Jones. But the problem is because of slavery, the propaganda on what black people is, the big scary God or whatever the case is, these people can't even recognize the biases that they do to themselves or put out. I don't even think they did that on purpose. I think when they seen it, that's what they felt. And then when you see these people doing the same thing, they felt like, okay, well, I identified that I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a thing that
You think it's just when they see kids riding and flipping cars over after they team win
yeah,
versus us riding or
somebody
something
died
after,
in the street.
yeah,
Oh, they just have fun. That's what they do.
yeah.
It's just a thing of being able to, the people in power, they look like the people that do this. So when they do this, they identify with it because they look like each other. They look like each other.
Just kids getting rowdy.
Yeah, but they don't identify us as Americans like they are. So when we don't look like the status quo of what a American look like, then we have to be something else. We have to be villainized.
Yeah, it's a much scarier thought than
Yeah, that's why I laugh at everything, because if I don't, then I'll be devastated.
What is it? What is Stokely? I think it was Stokely Carmichael that said, or somebody who's like the most
dangerous. We said the most dangerous. No.
It's like the most dangerous man is also like the most sad because he knows it's something like he knows what's going on.
Dave
like,
Chappelle said it.
Something like that. Yeah. Let's wrap this up. What else? What do you talk?
It would be a world full of other people who are not us. So I know that I benefit today from virtually everything my ancestors did and everything did to them, because if any of that had not happened, there's a very good chance that I never would have come into being. And as I see it, I benefit from being if the other option is not being.
So?
And that is my point. He understands that he benefits from what happened.
Ooh, bring it back around. Yeah.
He understands that he benefits from what happened. And guess what? I also benefit from the choices my ancestors made, but I also live through some of the consequences of the things that was done to them. Like he understands that what happened, he's benefited from. So guess what? The opposite can be true as well.
He don't even know that though. That's what I'm saying. Don't see that. But you get what I'm saying. Why I think he's like he doesn't know. Because why would you say that after you just framed it earlier?
I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Like
I
he
don't
doesn't
think he thinks people are gonna pick up on that.
No, see that you give him too much credit.
I don't think
you give him too much credit, bro. He's just an idiot, bro. He done contradicted himself how many times since we've been playing this video? Back to back. I do know this, but I don't know that. What benefits would you have from this if you didn't? This is the benefit from this, where this isn't a benefit. The problem is he got one thing right, and it's only one thing. You did benefit off of it. You did.
He outright said, "I'll do it again." I hope it happened again. Because if it means I can't be here, then so be it.
So be it.
Somebody got to get got, and it's not going to be me.
Go back to what I said about my mom's, bro. She should be thankful, I guess. If that didn't happen to her, because my mom watched, so I know that didn't happen. But I'm just saying, well, to be calling me.
Apparently, we should be grateful. But it seemed like his message is, look, y'all wouldn't be shit over there.
Be grateful that y'all was brought over there.
Like, and if he was responding, he might say we being ridiculous, or whatever. But he himself said it's highly unlikely we'd be successful over there. So how is that anything else? Y'all wouldn't be shit over there. If you wasn't over here, thanks to us or my ancestors, y'all would be.
But even in that case, you saying you wouldn't be shit. Y'all wouldn't be shit without us. That's the problem. That's another aspect. You saying to even in what you saying that everybody benefited off slavery, right? You can't see that one group benefited more, even in your idea, even in your logic. You can't see that the people who had slaves benefited more than people who were slaves. And so on and so forth. So you understand that time, even though you seem to be lost on some things about time or whatever, which is fine with me, again. But if we going by your logic, more people benefited more off Jim Crow law. People benefited more off Reconstruction than those who was under those laws or under those oppressions. So how do you not understand that? That today, because of that happens, if you understand that today you benefited from slavery. You need to be slapped in your face, man. You need to be slapped. That's what I'm saying.
Them glasses on. Glasses don't make you smarter. Glasses don't make you smarter.
Let me take my glass off.
You got astigmatism. They don't make you smarter, bro. Them books behind them is empty. Like them books mean nothing. He hasn't read any of them books.
Oh my goodness, bro.
So where do we land after all of this?
Yeah, where do we land?
It's absurd. Once you get into this conversation, let's get rid of this whole huge part of history. and then try to figure out the equation of who's better off, it becomes
Nobody did that
nobody-
but you. Like, that's, nobody is trying to say that we would have been better off or blah, blah, blah.
Nobody's
but you
doing that.
and people trying to make that stupid point against reparations.
The ideal is it happened. And because it happened, people was harmed for it. And people
That's
are
it.
still dealing with the effects of some of these things that happened in the past.
That's it.
That's it. Nobody's saying that something should be changed, but like even in your logic, you have to admit that something bad happened. It was wrong. I have not, like, at what point do you say, okay, slavery was wrong, but we all benefit from it?
But then you gotta say, why was it wrong? What did it do? What was the effect?
Yeah, what was the effect?
You gotta go down that line.
That's probably why he doesn't do that.
You gotta go down that line.
Yeah.
Because either you were like, slavery wasn't that bad.
His brain probably blocks off that.
Just
like,
because it's right off.
immediately ridiculous. And what does that mean for the reparations discussion? Well, it means that the discussion is totally incoherent and stupid. It means that any reparations plan is an arbitrary policy resting on a whole series of totally unsupported and wildly speculative assumptions about the way things would be right now if they weren't the way that they actually are. And the best we can say about that assumption, the assumption that blacks in this country are worse off today because of slavery, is that it is a baseless theory. But what we can really say about it is that it's a dubious conclusion based on fanciful and pointless hypotheticals.
When he said, what did he say, that this was obviously dumb and ridiculous?
Yeah.
He just described himself.
Yeah.
And then this entire argument.
He keeps saying benefit and not benefit. Like, as far as who benefited more, it's like, bro, people that you not understand.
You
people,
are a liar if you
Bruh.
said white people didn't come up off this.
like, bro, people was being hung at picnics.
Who you think benefited from that?
If we could, we're gonna put on like they used to have this thing called like a man. They used to have like this flag flying, like 19 something. A man was lynched today. They used to brag about that.
You used to have postcards.
Oh yeah, they used to put it in the newspaper.
They used to have kids
Like
eating ice cream like it's normal to be around a hanging body.
But again, you're right. But again, he's only referring to slavery because he didn't look at what they was actually investigating.
He can't go beyond. He's not allowed. That's against the playbook. Because moving beyond anything past 1865 would put them too close to the modern day. This is too much. You can't go close to that.
You're right.
You're not allowed to go beyond that.
I keep
point.
trying not to bring it up, but it's just like, yo, bro, like that's not you missing so many pieces.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know what reparations are. You keep talking about benefits and not, but a wrong was done. That's what that's for. That's not to send us back. No.
I'm not trying to go back in time, get into the spaceship. What happened happened. What we saying is because it did happen.
Yeah. And because it wasn't something
come out your pockets.
I don't even care about the pockets.
You
know me, I don't even care about the pocket. Can we get free school? Free? No, we ain't gotta pay income taxes. If we ain't gotta pay taxes, we good. I'm good.
I'm good with that, man. What I would like to see America do
automatic insurance
is is if it really values black people, invest in black people.
Mm-hmm.
Show us that we do value. We are sorry. Here you go. I don't even remember like America like being like, we really messed up. As a whole, being like, that was kind of messed up. What I saw was they begrudgingly caved in as time moved on, and the more they saw how shitty America's was, and what's really you know what I hated about learning history class is when they did the March on Selma. And they actually started televising what they was doing to black people. That the real sympathy they got was because white people started getting beat up. When Ed Reed, that pastor, got his ass whooped, and then other white people was like, "Okay, maybe we tripping. We tripping."
You right, bro.
Like it had to go that far
for you to say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this ain't right."
In that far into modern history for them to be like, okay, maybe they are people.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier about the New Orleans situation. Because they seen people they identify with.
Mm-hmm.
because of how slavery, the propaganda that was in, because of slavery, moving on up until that moment, the March on Self, because they seen somebody that looked like them getting beat up, that's the only time they empathize where this is wrong. Think about how many times black people been saying defund the police. As soon as Trump or somebody get in trouble or something, the FBI got to be defunded. This got to be stopped. Think about
they gotta go.
January 6th.
They crooked.
January 6th. As soon as those police was there getting beat up and all that stuff, when they killed, end up killing some of them, end up, you know what I'm saying, self-deleting. And when it comes down to writing a bill on helping them, or like really, you know, putting people in jail like that they should for hurting the police officers.
Blue line didn't matter anymore.
That blue line was gone.
The blue line, they under Democrat control now. Like they other.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like people are flimsy on the things that they want until they affect them or they feel like they can identify with. We are people in America that they don't identify with. And because we've been like, that's the thing, like, and I get it. It's not a thing, it's a psychology. It's a weak mentality that people have.
It's a weak mentality and geographic. Like, as far as we like to believe we are still a very segregated country.
For sure.
Black people live with black people.
They're still kind of redlined.
Yeah, it's
gerrymandering
because of what happened. Like, we finally got into them neighborhoods. They either ran us out or they left and dropped the property value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and we still suffering it. Like, look at where we live. Like I say, from the west side to the east side, the further away you get from the west side, the whiter it is, and the more, you know, the nicer the neighborhoods are.
If you want to look at like places like Central Park, where it was a black neighborhood, if you want to look at the lake that everybody keep getting killed out in Georgia, where they, you know what I'm saying, tore down to flood the town. If you want to look at like different like highways where they took the
look
like
at
move
Atlanta, man.
If you want to,
which is supposed to be like Wakanda. Robert Moses strategically put them freeways through Atlanta to drop the property values of black neighborhoods.
Those are the things that
recent history.
That's a fact. That's recent. Those are the things that California Task Force is investigating or going through their progressions of like looking at what was done in that process.
You go anywhere in America and you will find a history of segregation. And you will find out why certain people are in certain areas of town. And that's not by happenstance. That was strategically planned out of why it happened, to keep people where they want people at. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a mystery. Fix it. When what was it, James War? If in James War, when we had a sexual community, instead of tearing down a neighborhood, instead of tearing down a successful black neighborhood where we had our own banks, our own businesses, and we were investing in each other, instead of tearing that down and putting up public housing for us to live in, what if you would have just left that alone? Where would them people be at now? Where would they be now? You find examples of Tulsa, Oklahoma all around America.
The what was it? The bloody summer of 1919. You want to look at that? Or when they bombed Philadelphia? Like what? I mean, at what point you want to go back?
And it's the egregiousness of the things like Tulsa, where they deputize people so they could get away with murder. That's how sinister people was. That type of sinister behavior just doesn't go away in a country just because laws are passed. Them people still in power. Them people still judges. They still police officers. They still control loans.
You know, it's crazy. Generation after generation benefited off the things that they did. Generation. So what you think the people that got harmed by those things?
Some of y'all grandparents are in the pictures throwing shit at Ruby Bridges. Like, and that's something you gotta that's just something you have to come to grips with.
We see you, Jerry Jones, in that picture. We ain't see you throw nothing.
Yeah,
but we see you was in the picture.
Know what I mean?
So that's what I'm saying, bro. You don't think from that, but I get it though. You want to stay on slavery, and that's fine. I mean, like I say, man, like I think he's a person who, like most people in the world, they go off their emotion, right? They let their emotion think. So they come up with this ideal or something, and then they figure out ways to make it connect to a logical point or something. Just same thing with people who are extreme conspiracy theories. They can't figure out something, so they find little places to make stuff connect for their brain to be like, okay, this is how it happens.
This makes sense to me.
It can't be a coincidence. It can't be this or that. Or this seems wrong. Or I don't like this. Why don't I like this? Let me find a reason why this doesn't make sense. Instead of saying, hey, what is this? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Like you come into it with an idea and then you find reasons to justify it. Yeah, you justify it. It's like, you looking for reason to justify how you feel.
Yeah.
Not to see what's right. So I mean, that's basically what he did, but he did a horrible job at it. It's plenty. Trust me, it's plenty of arguments against reparations.
Right, it's crazy. We doing 55 minutes off a 4-minute clip.
Yeah, bro.
Just how ridiculous.
It was wild, bro.
It's ridiculous, man. I'm done with this.
Yeah,
Man.
we
Like,
good,
you got
man.
anything you want to say, man?
Nah, I'm done, man. Just be careful who you follow, man.
That, man, like I said, man, if you don't want reparations, just say you don't want it, but don't
do that.
Don't go through mental gymnastics just to say. Just say we ain't got it. Just we ain't got it, and we don't.
We don't got it.
give it
We
to
don't
you.
want to give it to you.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll take that.
Whether you fear retribution for where that comes or not, and like that's on you, bro. Like, but just say like we ain't got it. We don't want to give it to you. So y'all just gonna have to figure out what y'all gonna do. So
That's cool. That's it for me. I ain't got nothing else. I'm TK, aka the Destroyer of Conviction.
I'm Darius, aka the Mirror, and this is Mind the Gap.